Hey, welcome again to Conversations. We're all at home, and my wife got an orchid, and it looks like my pet orchid here. But we're enjoying being home, I guess. I just banished her to upstairs. Some have banished their children to other rooms, and you're experiencing the same thing we are, and that's why we're doing this. We're trying to bring just another perspective, conversation. Feels like we're in the church lobby almost, and trying to figure this out. We've been talking about all sorts of aspects, and today we want to talk about what good is coming out of this. As we're going through this, what good is coming out of this besides we love our kids' teachers, we're appreciative of the garbage man, we want to go out to eat. Okay, there's other good things that are happening deep within us, and I'm just directing this. This can go deep, this can go superficial, fun. But what's the good that's coming out of this? And let me start with just this thought and then take it from there. We sent out a thing to our congregation and said, if you want help or want to help, please respond to us. And 85% of the respondents said, we want to help. 15% said we need help. I was blown away by that. There's a desire that people want to do something good. They want something good to come out of their time, and they want to help somebody in their worst day. To me, that was a huge, wow, that's a win. That's a win. And there's plenty of other things that are coming out good out of this. What do you guys think that's good that's coming out of this?
Well, Pastor Rob, just to add to what you're saying there about the response of River Valley Church, it has been incredible. We've had, in about a 6-day period, over 500 people have reached out. And like you said, the vast majority of them, over 400 plus of them, are like, what can I do? So it's so encouraging that when the squeeze is on, if you will, that what's coming out of our church is, let me help. Let me be compassionate. Let me show love. It's such it warms your heart when you think about that, for sure.
It does.
I've been thinking a lot about, obviously I was not around. I hope it's obvious that I was not around during the World War II era, but we talk about, thank you. We talk about the greatest generation and how people pulled together and people did without because there was the common good. They wanted to make sure that everybody had what they needed. And I think that we have the potential right now to not be the same as them, but to honor that legacy, that as Americans, we are looking for our neighbor to see what they need. We're looking to take care of our healthcare workers. I mean, people are sewing masks right now so that there is enough supply for those that are on the front line that are battling this virus right now. And I think that this will be a marking thing for this generation where we had the opportunity to come together in a very real and tangible way across the nation and not just localized because there was a specific disaster or something that happened in one area.
I saw a meme and it had a picture. It said, my grandfather saving the world, and he had a gun and he was shooting down a plane. And then it said, me saving the world, and he was eating chips on his couch, And I was like, not the same.
Not the same, but.
Pastor Rob, what I think of is, healthcare is constantly having a sense of crisis, whether it be a patient going into cardiac arrest. All of a sudden it's a crisis with that one individual patient. But what I've experienced during times of great crisis is great leadership and great teamwork. So what you see is, as a leader, like I had 8,000 nurses across the line of health or within the hospital system. So what I rely on is hiring really good people that hire really good nurses, right? And then equipping them to do their best work. So allowing them to have the right training and education. And then really at times of a crisis, I've hired great people. Now I let them fly and I let them do their best work. And so then I know as a leader, I couldn't possibly be sitting on everyone's shoulder saying, hey, you're doing the right thing. I have to be able to trust. So I think out of a crisis, there comes trust and there comes incredible teamwork. As well as a sense of there's very few times in life that you're all rallying around the same thing. You think about it, within a hospital, everyone's rallying around the same thing, but yet in a community, we're all rallying around the same thing. So I think it brings a sense of how you come together as a community, whether it be in the hospital or now, obviously this is broader, but a great sense of teamwork and trust that we're all trying to do the right thing and allowing people to do their best work.
That's good. Malcolm Gladwell talks about desirable difficulty. And he said there's a desirable difficulty that bonds you together, causes you to do great things, brings greatness out of you. I know we canceled the Olympics or postponed them a year, but
Right.
I love those stories where they're like, this guy couldn't even walk till he was 4, and now he's the 100-yard champion, you know, and you're like, it was that desirable difficulty that brought greatness out of them. And so I think all of us need to say, is this difficulty bringing greatness out of me, or is it squeezing grumpiness, greatness or
Right.
grumpiness?
Right.
You know?
That reminds me, Pastor Rob, I think you've said this before to me, but that, you know, it's way easier to act like a Christian than it is to react like one. And what crisis can sometimes do, you know, is it brings our reactions forward in ways where we can now reflect on what's coming out of us. Because I even think of that in crises that are small or large, or whatever the scope of it, our reactions are normally at play. And am I reacting in ways that are like Jesus? Am I reacting in ways where the fruit of the Spirit, if you will, is evident in my life? Am I reacting with love and patience, kindness, self-control? And so I think to what you're inviting us to consider, these crises, they can be very self-reflective. They give us a window almost into our own being. And we're not going to get perfect with our reactions. That's not my point, that anytime we hit a crisis, all of a sudden, only good things come out of us. For sure, we're going to sometimes fall into patterns and things will come out that aren't exactly what we hope. But more often than not, my prayer is that the crises that we begin to walk to show Jesus more than they do the non-Jesus in us, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think if we go through this crisis and we don't clean our real closets in our house because we have so much downtime, and we don't clean the closets of our life and get rid of junk we don't need and become better, we'll have wasted a crisis.
Right.
I think you're spot on. It really is a chance to self-reflect and say, okay, when you're under pressure, what comes out? And if you don't like what you see, how do you change that? How do you use this opportunity to better yourself? I think that's a fantastic point.
I'm very hopeful that the pace that has been forced upon us, and I know we'll need to ramp up to some degree when things are back to whatever normal looks like, but I'm hoping the pacing of just, it's good to slow down. It's good to slow down when you're not sick. It's good to slow down before things reach such a frenzied point that you're forced to slow down. And so I hope that our pace as a culture will adjust some, and maybe that's pie in the sky, but I'm going to still keep it in my hope category of that we just recognize there's so much good that comes from slowing down a bit. And I hope that we're able to continue that going forward.
I'm afraid we're going to come out of the gate the minute it's lifted so fast, we're going to respread coronavirus. And then we're going to be in a lockdown again.
I think you're so right, Portia. Like there's a new rhythm that we're acclimating to. And Mandy, the point that I really resonated with that you talked about is that when there's crisis, like it invites us to realize there's something we can unify around. And so, Pastor Rob, like the word that I know you've had for our church for the past couple of months for leaders is this idea of speed of unity, right? Like we're all unified to something. And so to me, I'm seeing the tie-in here. You know, Portia, you're talking about rhythm. Mandy, you're talking about unity. And for me, Pastor Rob, those two ideas kind of converge in the speed of unity, that when we're unified, we can actually go faster than we ever thought we could. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that more, but as I'm just hearing our conversation, to me, it's kind of converging on this idea of a crisis can bring out unity, and that can make us go faster than we ever thought.
Wow.
Right. I mean, I think people are going to appreciate their coworkers more than ever. I think they're loving their family now, and they're appreciating their coworkers, and they can't wait to get back into the mix. And I also think we're going to start appreciating essential services, you know, and we realize maybe there's not a lot of essential services, and the people that you don't take the time to thank, you're going to thank those people. And I think that has a big thing that'll come out of this. And I don't know. I mean, if America moves slower after this, I will be pleasantly surprised. And that could be a good thing. But I just feel like, man, markets are going to move, and mountains are going to need to be moved, and people are going to run. But I did say this to my wife. I said, anybody that's 3 feet off the ground, and by that I mean they don't have a lot to lose financially. If they fall 3 feet, they're going to say, where else would I rather be? Was that the right mountain to climb? And so I hope people reassess, like, was that the right job I should be in? Was that the right life, the right morals, the right relationships, and get things right? I hope that people find faith in this. And in the fall, they say, was I holding on to something that really didn't matter?
I think that's the vision of what our church, and I'm sure so many Christians are praying for and believing, is that, you know, and it's all throughout Scripture, right? God takes takes things that are difficult and tiresome and not ideal, and he turns it for good. You know, I'm just thinking of that song, like, what you meant for evil, you know, God turned it for good. And that's why being a Christian in scenarios like this is so redeeming, uplifting, hopeful, is because we believe that God is not done with what's happening here, and he's going to turn a crisis into a moment where so many people are going to find redemption and find grace.
Yeah, we have to trust that he's working all things for our good, including in this crisis. And I think that's something. All right, speed round. You got to go around fast. Something that is coming out good out of this crisis right now.
I'll go.
Who's starting? Yeah.
I'll start. Appreciation of family, like genuinely appreciating the people that live in my home as much as I appreciate people who live outside my home.
By the way, did your husband show you the option A, option B video?
Yes.
The guy, they're like, you are going to be quarantined with coronavirus. Option A, be quarantined with your family and your children. Option B, and he's like, B.
We laughed together, and I didn't read into it at all.
All right, Mandy, something that
I would say unity. We're seeing it within our life groups, within our friends, because we're connecting deliberately and purposefully, and just seeing greater unity in the groups that make up the church.
Clynt.
And I see compassion. I just see people that are, and it's kind of bring our conversation full circle. People want to help. They want to respond. I was talking to one of our team members, and they said a Google search, like they're just looking at Google stats. And this week, how can I help someone is up 3,600% on Google. That's what people are searching. And it's just a testament that this is our time to rally together and help one another.
I thought about that with Mother Teresa. We know who she was because she helped people in a crisis. You know, she didn't like build a tall building or write a lot of books. She helped people that were in their worst crisis, and we know about Mother Teresa. So you're spot on there. And then maybe I'm optimistic in this. I'm hoping the good that comes out of the crisis is that people love community more. It's like we've all been kind of given a dose of solitary confinement, and I hope that we love the neighborhoods we're in, the workplace we're in, the church body that we're in, the family. I just hope we love community more. And maybe that's optimistic, but I'm praying that when the all clear is given for church, man, we come flooding back in, and it feels like Easter every Sunday. That would be a pastor's dream. So,
right.
You know, I think more good is going to come out of this than we realize. And Charles Spurgeon had a sermon. I'll close with this thought. He said, some of the greatest blessings in our life come in black-edged envelopes. And black-edged envelopes in England in that day were how they told people there was a death notice. And although you didn't want to see it, that crisis in your life formed something greater in you that when you look back, you said, some of the best things of my life came in my worst times. And so I'm praying some of the best things in our life will be birthed out of this time. And I honestly would pray that this is your worst. Life throws things at us, but I hope this is our worst and some of our best things come out of it. So thanks guys for another conversation. This is our church lobby right here. Conversations are helping us. I hope it's helping all of you that are watching. And thanks for taking the time to do this. And good things are going to come out of your crisis.